Sure, you are.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, November 24th, 2025 Board of Supervisors work session. This meeting is now called to order. DDA will now call its meeting to order. Okay, Ms. Whitten, will you conduct roll of the board, please?
Supervisor Lewis.
Present.
Supervisor McDaniel.
Here.
Supervisor Lyons.
Here.
Chair Ayers.
Here. Rockbridge County Strategic Economic Development Plan Review. Ms. Flint.
Madam Chair, may I conduct a couple housekeeping things?
Absolutely.
One, apologize for the layout here. This is what we had to do to get it so we could have this recorded. Number two, if anybody in the EDA wishes to speak, Connor has a microphone so that it can be heard and part of the record online. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to give a brief slideshow presentation just to get everyone up to date and oriented on where we stand today with the Strategic Economic Development Plan update. We're going to run through a review of the draft, confirm alignment with the board's priorities, identify revisions, additions, and areas that need clarification, and then discuss our next steps for final adoption, which we are hoping for in January. So background, of course, we adopted our first strategic economic development plan in 2023 after the implementation of the Office of Economic Development. In that plan, we set goals and objectives for economic development for a 5-year period. However, we knew we were going to revisit that within a 2-year period, and we are now at that point. The plan included clear goals and measurable objectives, of which 25 action items existed, 28 items existed. And then the focus was on supporting business development, investment, and long-term prosperity in Rockbridge County. Why we're updating it now is we've completed 23 of the 28 action items, 82% completion of our goals and objectives. So therefore, we're at the point where we need to update this plan in order to ensure that it is relevant for the following year. Economic conditions change yearly. So this is something that we'll revisit on a regular basis every probably 2 to 5 years or less, depending on where we stand. This ensures that we're relevant, actionable items with regards to current economic conditions and priorities. And then we planned this strategically this year so that it would fall in line with our budget sessions and our budget planning, so that if there were any changes that needed to be done in our budgets or CIP aligned with strategic planning, we could do so. The role of a strategic economic development plan, this is kind of a refresher for most of you, but it serves as the county's roadmap for economic advancement, identifies priorities, goals, and actionable strategies, coordinates our efforts among the boards, the Board of Supervisors, our EDA, county staff, as well as our business and regional partners that we have, including SVP, the Chamber, Virginia Economic Development Partnership, and more. Supports consistent, informed decision-making, and then ensures accountability and transparency within my office. We began this process in March, and we started it with the EDA. And so the EDA has been reviewing each section of the strategic plan since March, providing input, updates, evaluating what existed, reviewing the goals and objectives as we have achieved and ones we didn't achieve. And then we've worked our way now to this final draft for your review. Again, 23 of the 28 action items were completed. I did just want to run through some of that with you all so you could see what we've completed over the years. Significant progress across business support, our branding and communication, workforce, childcare, housing, and organizational capacity. As far as our business support efforts go, we wrote our first business retention, expansion, and action plan, attraction action plan, which gives us an opportunity to do more visits and communication with our local businesses, and then handle business attraction efforts. Entrepreneur and business support resource guides were developed and published on the county website. It provides information to local businesses about what resources are available to them outside of our office, including the Small Business Development Center and more. We implemented a social media and communications policy, which was adopted. We also launched our social media pages, which has given us an opportunity to disseminate information, but also celebrate our local businesses. Branding and graphic, of course, was complete. That was the biggest project that came from the Strategic Economic Development Plan, was establishing our branding. We did so. We are implementing that. And as you can see on this PDF presentation, the branding is included in that with the color schemes and the logos. And then Connor has been running around the county taking wonderful pictures. So we've got some new pictures, and also we're sharing pictures with the tourism office as well. I was able to hire Connor. That was one of the items mentioned multiple times in the strategic plan, was being able to hire an administrative specialist to assist me with achieving all the goals and objectives of the plan. And he has done a great job in doing so, including officially launching our Facebook page. Under childcare initiatives and housing, there were a few items that we completed. One was our childcare resource hub was launched. Inventory of existing childcare providers and support services was completed. A childcare survey was done. We are using that information to help facilitate any expansions or additions of childcare businesses within the area. The housing study was completed. We are now in the process of implementing the recommendations of the housing study. And then our EDA has formed a housing subcommittee to also support that effort. So we did complete the goals of the childcare and housing initiatives. What the updated plan will provide, we've got clear goals and timelines for 2026 through 2028. Again, it may be something that we revisit in 2027, depending on economic conditions. But for now, this will be a 2-year plan to 2028. Updated strategies that reflect our current priorities and conditions, new and refined performance matrix so that we can track additional progress. And then we've prioritized a few action items, being business and retention and expansion, of course, site readiness and development, housing and childcare initiatives, workforce development, and then marketing, branding, and investment readiness. All of this will give our strong framework to guide us through strategic or economic development for the next 2 years. So where I'd like to go now, included in your work session information was the draft plan, the previous plan, and then a red line version in case you wanted to see any track changes. So what I would like to do today, the EDA has provided their input on the document. I'm going to give them an opportunity to speak really quick if anyone would like to do so, but I would like for the board to provide any recommendations, changes, clarifications, or anything that you feel is not aligned with the board's priorities. And then I will incorporate that feedback in the next draft, provide that draft to you all along with the EDA. And then the hope is to present this to the EDA in the final form at their January meeting on January 15th for their adoption, and then following your adoption on January 26th, if you so choose. So if there's no questions on the process, I'll let the EDA, if they would like to say anything, make comments, and then I can take board comments after that, if that's fine with you all.
Please.
I'm going to keep this relatively short and sweet. We put a lot of work into this. I think Mr. McDaniel and Mr. Lewis have been engaged as we've made our way through this. I don't think anybody's going to see any surprises out of this, and I think we're on the right path. And we're focused on the real priority areas of helping grow higher pay and salaries locally, helping improve some housing conditions, and helping improve access to childcare. And so, if the board has any recommendations or edits, by all means, please let us know. Anybody else from the EDA? Got anything else? Not yet. Okay.
Anybody else? No?
Oh. So at this time, I'll take board comments on the document if you have any.
I'll just say that I very much appreciate the EDA's work on this, and Brandon, your work on it. I think it's a very well put together document that will serve our community. When we made the role for economic director, this is a piece of what you, but a very important piece of what you do. And you've done an excellent job in that role. Excellent job with this document, and I very much appreciate your attention and the EDA's attention to Rockbridge County. There are several organizations in this community that serve the greater community, all jurisdictions or whatever, but your focus and the EDA's focus should be on Rockbridge County, and that's what this is. And I really appreciate it. I think it's well done.
Thank you.
The objectives, were they put in any particular order?
No.
No, so all have equal priority or?
Well, let me scroll down. We set some timelines. So they're set up in timeline order under each of the strategies. Sorry, it's a lot of data I have to scroll through first. So for the strategies are not listed in the document in any particular form or fashion. I always start out with business retention and expansion and attraction because that is like one of the number one objectives of an economic development office is your business retention. And so they're not in any particular order, but when we get down to the goals and objectives that we have for each strategy, those are in order by data priority. So for instance, the action items and deliverables under a business retention is to update the incentive policy. And I've put that as the number one thing that we want to get done. And that right now tentatively has a goal for February 2026. So they're prioritized in the deliverables, but the way that they're listed in the chapter as far as our strategies goes does not highlight what we're focusing on first. It's just our strategies. So business and retention is just as important as house care, child care and housing are.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yes, they're all very, very important.
Well, and there are multiple things that can be worked on at one time as well. So, you know, it's a living document as well as allows us, I think, the flexibility to take the energy of the time and work on that that concern as we know they all are. You know, the EDA has wisely said, hey, let's look at the housing thing. So we subcommitted that, and you know we're working towards that and have had some real substantive conversations, several of which unfortunately I've missed, but I try to monitor situation. So yeah, again, it's a document that I don't know that it's ever complete, you know, or finished. As you said, things change and it's got to be updated.
And as you can see, a lot of the deliverables are ongoing activities. Like we're going to support, you know, activities with the chamber. We're going to support activities with our small business development center. Like all of that is going to be an ongoing, continuous item. We do have a lot more flexibility now that Connor's in the office for me to be able to achieve multiple goals at one time. Now we're doing a really good job of tag teaming activities.
Mhm.
There's only so many meetings you can be at one
Yes.
time.
Yes.
I understand. Mr. Hawkins, you ready yet, or still wait?
In the last 5 years, I've probably spent as much time as anybody working on, I'll let Brandy vouch for that, but as much time as anybody working on both versions of the Strategic Economic Development Plan, the first one we published and now this update. In my judgment, this is a much better document than the first one. We learned some things as we went along. We know some places that we want to put this document. Most importantly, online. We want our citizens to see it. We want our prospective businesses to see it. We want our visitors to see it. And we want them to know what it is we're trying to accomplish. And I think this document does a good job of trying to lay forth the effort that we're about in trying to attract economic development. That said, there's some things that are deliberately left out. We've got work to do. Witness this document, the things that are the highest priorities. I could speak for half an hour on the subject of housing that Jay brought up just a minute ago, just because we have spent a good bit of energy and effort on that in the last month. You'll hear from us again on that subject very shortly. I could speak for another half an hour on the subject of infrastructure, because that's the subject that was in the original plan that we probably didn't do a good job of giving attention, and is going to be pretty high on our list of things to do in implementing this plan. And what I mean by that is water, sewer, yes, but broadband, gas, transportation, you name it, infrastructure is going to be an important part to it. We can't attract business expansion with the resources we've got in place right now. Something that is not in there, and I deliberately didn't bring it up, although I thought about it a bunch of times. There's no place in this document where we're recommending, at least at this point, that you acquire developable property. And yet that is, if you look at our neighbors, we are woefully deficient in the in county-owned development property. Look at Augusta, look at Botetourt, look at Amherst, look at our neighbors, and every single one of them have got unoccupied, developable industrial property or economic development property, not necessarily industrial. And we simply don't. And it's not in this document yet. Should it be in this document? You know, perhaps something for all of you to think about. We're here asking for your advice. We've put together something that we think can be done in the next couple of years. And we're telling you, at least in back channel communications, that housing and infrastructure are the two subjects that you should expect to hear from the EDA the most. That's my expansion, Jay. Thank you.
sir. Yes, sir.
Any additional comments, questions, concerns?
I'm always concerned about good, affordable childcare. And I feel that we spend a lot of effort trying to attract, or we need people we have industries that don't have enough employees. And I feel that we leave people on the sidelines because they can't afford childcare in this county. And I just wondered, with the focus on housing, is there any focus to bring childcare to some of these housing, to bring them into the areas that people may need them?
So one of the
Centralized.
one of the things that we did was the Child Care Resource Hub. And so Connor updates that quarterly, and that gives you current providers, any kind of grant funding that's available for existing providers to expand services. We constantly seek input from other localities. I now have 2 documents from 2 different localities on new child care enhancement initiatives they've started. One of them's a partnership, and I don't have the full details because I just got it last week. The partnership between the community foundation of those localities is starting some kind of grant funding. So those are the kind of things we keep an eye on and we keep looking for. And I provide that information we provide it on the Resource Hub, but we also provide it to employers. One of these programs involves employer involvement. So that's something that I will send out to a couple of our larger, manufacturing plant HR departments and say, is there any, interest in pursuing something like this? And then we'll also send it out to some of our smaller providers as well. To enhance childcare capacity, we've not actively recruited any businesses, but we're supporting the ones that exist. So Yellow Brick Road, for instance, we're definitely supporting Yellow Brick Road. She contacts me when she's looking for grant funding, when she's looking for financial resources, and I support her, even though technically she's located in the city of Lexington. I provide that support because she provides childcare to all of the region. Montessori school, I have not heard from, but we try to make sure that all of the most up-to-date information is provided to our current childcare providers. And if they approach us for additional information, then we do so. Connor actually just had a visit with one of our newest childcare providers to try and help them enhance the number of people they have. They have open spots for childcare. They're not able to fill it. So we're not real sure where the disconnect is there, considering there's such a need for childcare. So Connor's made a visit with them and some suggestions on items that they can do and that we can do to help them enhance and fill those spots for childcare. As far as housing and childcare tie together, one of the
Incentives for housing development, for having childcare in the housing
yes,
development?
so models now do show that a lot of housing developments are locating childcare centers either within them or near them when it's possible. Of course, that's always tied into the developer and the partnerships that exist. But for instance, there's a project that was done in Charlottesville, and that's what they did. They took the apartment complex that existed, they rehabbed it, they added additional, and they stuck a childcare center in the center of it. And that space is actually reserved. Some of the spaces in that childcare center are reserved for those individuals living in those apartments, and that gets those people back to work. And so that's when we look at housing developments, that's something that we will look at.
Good, thank you.
Hopefully it comes about in new partnerships as we move forward with infrastructure improvements and housing developments.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Mhm.
I'd like to recognize the board for several years ago, recognizing that economic development needed to be its own single focus. Secondly, for approving the second position, and I'd like to recognize Connor Mitz in all this because Brandy is one of the busiest people I know. She's at meetings here, there, everywhere, and Connor has allowed her to give us more of a statewide presence in different boards and organizations. Meanwhile, Connor's doing some heavy lifting back this way, and he's a big part of what you see here.
Mhm. Yes, thank you both.
I can't function without him.
But wisely, Connor's also been at regional and statewide meetings, so he's certainly getting a dose of that. As Brandy's been successful at the board levels there, so we're well represented. They know when they see us coming, they know we're going to have a question. So that's good, I think.
Well, we have so much more time. Mr. Hawkins, are you sure you don't want to come up?
He already said he could.
I'm not sure now's the right time to add what I need to add.
I know we're really excited to continue to implement any strategic plan that we approve. It sets the goal, it sets my goals and objectives, directs us for where we need to go. And then it also gives me an opportunity to teach Connor a few things about strategic planning. And I'm really, it helps guide what we do. So I appreciate everyone's input and thank you for coming early today.
I did.
That's okay.
Meant to.
Anne was a minute or two late too. Well, if there's,
So bring things full circle, your goal is, can you provide the dates again on your?
yeah, so if there are no changes to the document, then what I would like to do is propose that for the EDA's January 15th meeting, January 15th, 2026, it's a Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. Or I'm sorry, it's Tuesday morning, 8:30 a.m. that we adopt the strategic plan. And then for the board, it's going to be at their January 26th meeting. I need to confirm a date really fast.
But you want all feedback from this board tonight, or?
If you do have additional feedback that you would like to share, if you can get it to me by the end of December, because I just need to advertise it in the EDA's package, which will go out the week before. So January 7th. Ish.
Shall we leave the last day in December as the day for me? Is that what you would like?
December the 15th. Correct your dates. It's December 15th.
Well, it's a holiday. There's a holiday in there. It's going to be January. I'm sorry. For adoption, it'll be in January. For feedback from the board, I would like to have your feedback around actually the 7th would give me enough time to put everything in there.
December
January 7th.
Our January meeting would be on January 20th.
20th. Okay.
Jay, I'm
While Jay
closing
talks, I'll
anything.
figure out the dates.
Yes, please.
Apologies.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to say a few words here if I could. I work with the Chamber Economic Development Committee. Brandy and Connor are part of that. Some folks sitting behind me are also part of that. These conversations that we're having right now on economic development are in that meeting. Mr. Lyons is also a part of that conversation. Housing and one of your passions, childcare. From the housing standpoint, we just finished the housing summit. We've got great momentum going. We've got a follow-on event coming up this first, second, and third next week to continue that discussion. On the childcare, I just wanted to, and I'm sure you're probably aware of this, but we've got the yellow brick roads of our community. We've also got in-home childcare, and that's what Brandy and Connor are working with from the standpoint of people that are interested in starting a daycare program within their homes. They've got the resources and facilities, and they're meeting with them to talk through that with them on how they start these programs, start them safely and efficiently for the community. I think the big thing here is, and we talked about this today in our meeting, and this is on the fact of working with VMI on another issue, working with their economic department and helping us with some deep data dives. My comment was to the group that sometimes you work things, continue to work, and you're 5 years down the line, you're 10 years down the line. And I would throw out to the Board of Supervisors as well as our EDA, sometimes while this big visionary plan is moving forward, we've got to circle in or focus in on, if you will, an opportunity to potentially land a housing development with integrated childcare. And that might be where we go out, or where you go out with the help of our EDA committee, find that location to where we can start those conversations. Plans are great. What we've got here, second iteration, I think is a great plan. It's always going to be something that needs to be updated. It's not a standalone document that we can put on the shelf for 10 years and walk away from it. But while that's going on, I firmly believe that you have to continue to look for those opportunities. If you find that one success story, okay, while we're working this big visionary plan, but a piece of land that's pad ready, we can work on housing, we could potentially integrate a child care opportunity. We've got a local Carilion hospital that's sitting in Lexington. There's initiatives that are going on with what they call detached emergency room facilities, where down at when I was on the Carilion Systems Board, other rural hospitals have detached emergency room opportunities to get the service out into your community, to where everybody didn't have to come to Lexington. In our case, potentially we could look for something along that line that integrates in a nice place, affordable housing for people to live, the daycare, the child care is there, and potentially medical facilities, or working with Carilion and Greg Madsen and company out of Roanoke to bring one of those together and become an example, if you will, for our community and for surrounding communities to see success like that. So that's all.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Apologies for the confusions on the date. I had December dates for EDA, January dates for the board. I'm sorry. So the EDA is meeting on January 20th, which is actually a Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. And then the board meeting will be on the 26th. So if we could have comments by Friday, January 2nd, that gives me a week to go through those before I have to get the EDA package out to the board. So by January 2nd, any questions, comments, or concerns, send them to me by then.
Okay. We can handle that. Thank you. But we have more time. We want to hear good things. Yeah.
One,
Oh, good.
I clench my teeth too much. I wonder why. Jay stole my thunder. I was going to say what he was going to say about the follow on to the housing symposium is next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I hope you've seen that because those are the continued conversations between all of us. Brandy and I are, heavily involved in that. So be prepared because something's coming. I don't know what it will be. It's pretty clear what some of that's going to be, but hopefully we'll get some localized recommendations for the region. The housing market does not stop at the county line. It does not stop at the city border. People don't, sometimes they care where they live, but whatever is within our control to try to foster that and whatever incentives, we do business incentives all the time. So need to tweak that just a little bit and maybe make some housing incentives. Now, what that looks like, we don't know yet, but that's what you guys and gals are here for. So be on the lookout for that. And all those things that Jay just made mention of, a facility like that is an authorized purpose under the USDA Rural Development Community Facility Program, which you should be very familiar with because the Horse Center is one of those. So don't lose sight of those opportunities to do one big service providing something, structure like that. So, okay. Thank you. Cheers.
Any other comments?
Madam Chair, I don't necessarily have additional comments about, well, it sort of pertains to the economic development plan, but since we have the EDA here, I feel like that in the last, I don't know, 3-4 years or so, the EDA has been much more proactive. And I certainly appreciate that coming from our seats up here. When you see opportunity, like the housing, for example, you made a subcommittee, you've been working towards that. I've sat in on those meetings. I think they've been very beneficial. I think there's some good things potentially coming out of that. Our board will have the opportunity to act upon in shortcoming, next couple of months or so. But I would just ask that you continue to do that, continue to seek opportunities, continue to provide knowledge and wisdom to us. I think all of us are entangled in our communities, but sometimes, even everybody sometimes can't see the beauty of the forest for the trees getting in the way. So when you have some other ideas and philosophies and thoughts, don't be afraid to, throw them at us and see what we can come up with. I love the opportunity that, Mr. Williams was talking about. I've thought about that a lot here lately, where you could have not just a housing complex, but maybe a kind of like a community complex where people will live, maybe work, maybe play, maybe get the services they need all in a small area like that. And I think with one of the things on the housing that we're going to have to look at, and it's not countywide, but certainly being pinpointing spots in our community where we can adjust density to get it some higher numbers to make it more affordable for our citizens. So again, I really appreciate the work you're doing and the ideas that you bring forth and the momentum that you put in the document. Just want to say thank you while you're here.
Yes. There's nothing else. So we have a regular meeting at 5:30. Everyone's finished.
I'm going to have the EDA adjourn.
motion
Thank you.
Right. Is there a motion to adjourn our work session?
I think you can just adjourn this one.
What?
You can just adjourn this one.
Okay. All right, then I'll do that. You all have a good evening.
I'm being late, didn't want to make a motion to adjourn.
Brandy, did we say we were going to start a new meeting?
Pay my water bill.
Got time. You with us in there.
Anyone viewing this live? We'll start the next regular meeting at 5:30.
I can get to Julia's game.
That doesn't.
Julia's got a basketball game. I can make it there now.
Since then.
Oh, I hear you.
Like two animals leaving. After we get that, we've got to go back to the well then.
No, I get to make it to Julia's basketball game.
Go back to that. Study documents, okay. We did number one.
No, I
What's
just
the
wanted to
next
talk to
five
him.
things that you- There are a couple properties.
Oh, no, I thought you had extra.
I'll go back.
No, it's not. We got.
I just can't read that much of a conversation. That's what I can say.
Do you want last year's and this year's?
No.
That's just
That's the
current.
current.
Make sure this is.
Issue is gonna be-
Yeah, he just wants the current. Yeah.
Maybe if somebody start doing foundations and that's it.
It's a format.
Even if there's water and sewer running by on the highway, pulling the ends of the property.
Okay, let me just print you off.